That is going to be amazing, and that you guys are doing it together.
We're doing, yeah.
And you know what? Nothing is better than doing something like that on the spur of the moment. And
we do that all the time.
Yes. Well,
yeah, we need to work on that.
And we were talking about teams, so I kind of put down on Facebook. I was like, okay, I booked the trip, and one of the girls that I mentor from the team, she was like, when is this happening? This weekend? Because she knows that I'm like, it's now. I take a decision, and it's like right now. So we're just gonna wing it.
Wow.
So look out for my posts for food. Food and fun.
You better believe it. I'm always zooming in on I find myself, gosh, like the other day, you were at an outing, you had some great friends and family or whatever, and somebody's plate was right behind you, and I found myself going, what did she make today?
So that was on Three Kings holiday. So Puerto Rico has the longest Christmas.
I did not know that.
Of the world.
By the way, guys, we're on the 72nd jam session now.
Hello.
BobMortgage jam session. So just keep rolling. I want to let everybody know what we're doing.
We're doing
we'll get
the
started
jam
in a second.
session.
But I want to hear more about this Puerto Rico stuff.
But it's going to be the Naddia show today. We already know that.
Naddia
taking
equals
over.
Puerto Rico show,
The Naddia takeover.
I'll probably talk more than Bob.
That's all right.
No, it's what's supposed to happen.
That's what we're hoping for.
So in Puerto Rico we do the longest Christmas. So it's still not over. Okay. That's why it kind of ends with La Sanse and what we call the Octavita. So we start Christmas right after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So right before Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving, all of the Christmas decorations go up, and they do not come down until about mid-January. So we do
I had no idea.
Christmas, and we do all those parrandas that I was telling you about, the holiday parties. And then after that, on January 6th, we do the Three Kings holiday, which is basically, the Three Kings bringing their gifts to baby Jesus. And so the kids will go outside with shoe boxes and fill them with grass for the camels, instead of cookies for Santa.
Yeah.
And then they get 3 gifts, one from each of the 3 kings that come and visit Jesus. So we celebrate that. And then after that, it's 8 days after that they do the Octavitas, which is the 8 days after the 3 kings. And then we do the Sanse party until, and that's when Christmas is really over. So for us, it's party, 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 party.
It's a big celebration.
It's a huge.
And you really you participate in all of it, all.
Yes.
And how many days?
Oh my goodness, it's like almost 2 months worth of celebration. So
wow.
So we do that. So I'm going home for the weekend. I haven't been home. I left Puerto Rico. I was there for 5 days, and I left the day before the hurricane. So I haven't been back since.
Okay.
So
this is going to be pretty special.
It's going to be pretty special. And we were planning on going in March, and just the flights and everything, it just wasn't working out. So we just decided to wing it and go for the weekend. So
Josh excited about that?
He is.
Yeah?
Yes, he said, that he is saving his calories for the rest of the week.
So what is going to be something that you have really missed, one of the first things that you're going to do? And what are you going to eat? Like, I also want to know what you're going to eat.
Food. Definitely food. So usually when I arrive in Puerto Rico, the first thing that we do is actually there's a area behind the airport called Piñones, and it's just kind of very local, like food stands.
Yeah.
And they're right off the beach, and it's basically everything's fried. It's just
of
fried
course
food.
it is. Yeah.
Fried food, pinchos. So it's all very local. I had a talk with JP the other day. He just went to Punta Cana or Dominican Republic, and he loved it. And he's been to Puerto Rico once, and then he's been to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, and he liked the Dominican Republic a little bit better because it had, this more of a luxury type thing. And in Puerto Rico, if you were going to go to Puerto Rico, you're going to go for the fun, the local, the activities, like the more of a down to earth. Local
kind of an
stuff.
urban, gritty.
Yes. Yeah. So you go for the adventure, not so much of the luxury. There is luxury, but it's kind of mixed in. It's not like this, this is the nice area.
Right.
Everything
it's
is
not necessarily what it's about there.
Yes, it's very different. So so I'm looking forward to this. I booked a Airbnb. What I usually like to do when I go is I'll stay 2 nights in one place, 1 night here, 1 night there, and just kind of make my way around the island. So it should be pretty good. So I'm excited. You need your fix from home, and
you refill your tank.
You do.
And it's been a long time since you've been.
Yes.
And you've got so many friends and family, and
it's gonna be awesome. I have one of my clients. We're like signing a contract today, and we were supposed to do it yesterday, And he said, well, you know, I kind of have to get it done because I'm going to Puerto Rico on Thursday. I was like, well, I'll see you there on
See you
Friday.
on Friday, right?
That is amazing.
And most of the people that come here, that's their vacation spot. I mean,
Yeah.
they go back home because, you know, there's this song that came out a few months ago, and the lyrics say, because to enjoy yourself, you don't have to leave Puerto Rico. You know, and you go and you travel to other places and you see, you know, Costa Rica and Cancun, but I don't know, for a coquí person, there's nothing like Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
And,
Well, I
you know,
love how that's transitioned into your business
Yes.
also. I mean, obviously you serve clients from everywhere.
Yes,
But you have a very special place here in the Puerto Rican community.
I do.
And
They're my special place, and I love them.
and they seek you
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
They do.
And the fact that you had this like unbelievable community party
Yes.
in December,
Yes.
and
we did that.
that was just off the chart.
We had
Like, you know, saw Brandon's video on
Yes.
that, and
I haven't posted Brandon's video yet. I need to post it.
Yes.
speaking of Brandon's video,
Yeah. So, you know, that party is the Parrandon. Daphne's been coordinating that for a few years. And so this year we were the main sponsor for it. We brought in a lot of our clients that, you know, usually already go to the party, but this time it was we were very much involved than in other years before. We had over 350 people.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And we
And
want
it's
to keep
family oriented. Like, you know, a lot of times you have an evening event like that.
Yes.
And it's just like adults only.
Right.
And the kids were there. And
Yes.
Yep.
We had a kid
But
area.
people were also there on date night, and young people, and older people.
We appreciate
Yes.
you letting us be involved.
Oh
my
as well.
gosh,
And
yeah.
Be there. Thank you.
So it was, you know, it was a success. You know, people need that feeling of the home, you know, for Christmas. And throughout the business, that's kind of what we try to do. For example, we have like 2 or 3 communities right now where we have 5, 6 families buying in the same community, in the same area. And so we try to bring, you know, kind of like, hey, block party, or, you know,
Yeah.
kind of introduce people to each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes if we have a lot of people buying in the same community, we'll kind of get them together, and we'll go to the contract together, and we'll all go through the process together. And so they start getting to know each other, getting to know their neighbors. And we like to just connect people.
Because it's a sense of home, because everyone's away
Yes.
from home.
Everybody's away from home, and they don't have family.
Right.
And so we really do try to become that family that, you
And
know,
that, you
that
know,
they
a
don't
lot
have.
of people say that.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
I
it's hard
sincerely
to do.
believe you are that.
We really we open up our home
Yes.
to our friends, to our clients. We try to introduce people. I mean, last night I was sitting with a couple. They've been here, you know, 2 years, and you know, she has a master's in social work, and she's studying English, and she needs, you know, she needs an English partner to practice with. And I mean, I got on the phone and I called one of the teachers that lives or lives in one of the communities that she's looking at, and I said, hey, who do you know that does English tutoring? Can you get me a number? And we just try to connect
Yep.
whatever it is that they need, because real estate it's what I do because it's what I know how to do, and it's the experience that I brought before I moved to the Metroplex. And I know how to do it. It's second nature to me. And
Right.
that's just organic. It just happens. I can give people a piece of my brain. But really what we want to do is get to know them. What we
Right.
want to do is know what they need.
And you really can't
connect them.
teach that.
You can't teach that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to
You
know
can't.
them gives you a better opportunity to impact their life in
To
a
serve
positive
them.
way.
Yes.
To serve them.
Yes.
Correct.
I mean, you know, there's a lot of people that I meet, they're not on the market. They're not looking to buy a house, or they're not looking to buy a house right now, or they have a house that they bought last year. It's not about that. It's about, you know, knowing who we are, who we can count on, how we can help you, and then how you can help the ones that we serve, and try to connect each other. It's really about creating community, because none of them here have family.
Right.
I came here with no family. I came here knowing almost nobody.
And so you obviously know from experience.
You
and
need
you
that.
knew what you needed.
You need that.
So came here absolutely not knowing anybody,
Nobody.
and built a real estate business that, I mean, you're there's no rivals. I mean,
Yeah.
you do what you do, and nobody does it any better within that community. for the people that you
and
serve.
even within your company, it's
Right.
not just you
By the way,
serve-
JP and Associates, right?
JP and
Yep.
Associates,
Yep.
just are proud.
Exactly.
Agent number 87 out of like 1,400. I don't know.
1,400, 1,500,
where
it
yes.
continues to grow.
Whoa.
So you were 87.
I was 87.
87 coming in.
Yes.
Well, okay, when did you get your real estate license? When did you start practicing real estate?
Okay, so I guess, people ask me all the time, what's your secret? How do you do it? And so forth. And what I have to say is that what makes me different is that I'm in that 2% of people that have always been in real estate.
Uh-huh.
But I learned it backwards. I got my first real estate license in Florida at 19. But I wasn't ready to, I didn't have confidence. I didn't know what I was talking about.
Yep.
And so I went into leasing apartments. And from there, within a 5-year span, I became a property manager.
Okay.
And that was in Florida. And so I learned all about leasing, fair housing, and all of the, now that I'm like training people and stuff, I can actually see how those little things actually translate into what I am now.
Yeah.
The knowing the details as to when to follow up, when to call somebody back, how to make all that personal, how to get people to see both sides of a coin and pros and cons. So I learned a lot about that in leasing. And trying to get
that's
people.
the school of hard knocks right there.
Yeah. School of hard knocks. So I did leasing. I ended up, being an assistant manager, and then ended up being a property manager. And then during that time, it was when the first boom came. That big boom, and a lot of the apartments in Florida started going condo conversions. So I ended up getting my mortgage broker's license. And I ended up processing mortgages for a Hispanic mortgage team that had a lot of volume, and so I ran the office. I ran their office, and
which is why we get such clean packages and clients. And they're buttoned up.
I called your loan officer Hector the other day, and he's giving me this rundown on this pre-approval, and I strongly questioned at him, and I was like, okay, so they want to buy a second property within a 5-mile radius of the property that they already have within the same price point. How are you going to sell this to the underwriter as a primary purchase? Because we don't have a change of circumstance, and we don't have this, and we don't have that, and that's the language that I know how to talk.
Right.
And he was like, that's a good question. Well, this is how we're going to do it. And
when he came in, he's like, dude, this Naddia chick, she knows what she's talking about. I'm like, yeah, she was in mortgages. And he's like, that's why the conversation was so great.
Which is so incredibly valuable to us and what we do, that you come with that experience.
I do. And so when I sit down with somebody one-on-one, or I do my classes, there's no way for me to really tell them the depth of the experience that we carry because of those things. They don't get to really find out until we're already in it.
And that's a really good point.
Yeah, they really don't know. They come because we speak the language, and we know how to explain things and how to teach them what they need to know, and what we call in Spanish arroz y habichuelas, in the rice and beans version of what it is. And so they get that, and then they understand what they need to do, and then we follow through and we follow up with them, and they do it, but they really don't get, unless something starts to go wrong, they really don't get the 100% of the value of what we bring to the table until we're in it. And so especially with the mortgage side of things, I've always been really involved because I know the language. So I processed loans for 2 years. And then from there, I ended up partnering with the appraiser that used to do the appraisals for the company that I worked for. And I managed his office for another 2, 3 years. And so I learned all about appraisals. I can write one. I can write one. I can edit one. I know how to pull comps. I know what FHA standards are and all of that. And so I learned all about appraisals for 2 years. So I usually don't miss the mark on my listings. We know how to do that. And then after that, the crash came. And so in Florida, and so everything, the refi business went down, and the appraisals started slowing down, and I had just had Natalia, and that was in 2007. And so I took maternity leave, and I never went back. And I was a few months without work, and then I don't even know how it happened. Ocwen Loan Servicing came knocking at my door. And they said, hey, we got a hold of your resume. I don't know how. I didn't even send it in. I don't know how. And they said, we're growing our REO foreclosure department. You have experience in pricing properties and you have experience in the mortgage business and you have experience in real estate. We think you'd be a good fit, and they hired me. And so I was the 5th person in that department, and then it grew to 32 people. The wonderful and bad thing about it was that when I got in there, REO was pretty new as a whole to the country. There was no system. It didn't exist. And so I had to manage a portfolio of 300 properties nationwide, and I had no reporting. I had nothing. It was just like, you need to get them sold with this amount of time. This is your allowable percentage, and I had to figure it out. So I had to create systems, spreadsheets, reporting, so I could keep myself on track. And I grew to be number 1 in the department. And so from there, I ended up doing REO for Chase, through a couple of different outsourcers, and then I ended up in Caliber Home Loans. So that's how I ended up in Texas.
And with that invaluable experience, by the way.
And when I got to Texas, you know, it was, I didn't want to come here, I'll be honest. And honestly, most of the people that
want to stay in Florida.
Well, no, I had actually left Florida. So when I was doing REO, this was the kicker. I was doing REO, so I was remote. I had a Chase account, and it was through an outsourcer for Chase. And so I was remote. It was amazing. I worked from home. So I moved back to Puerto Rico. And I worked from home, and I had my Chase job, and I worked with my birds chirping, looking at my mountain, and every weekend I would take my laptop and I would be at the beach. And it was an amazing time. At the same time, the crash in Florida went pretty south, and I was going through a divorce. So one of the other things that we bring to our clients is compassion, because I have been there. I have been there. So, you know, a lot of people, when it comes to sharing, when you share your finances and what you've been through to get to this country and to get to DFW, you have probably been through some rough stuff to get here. And financially, that affects you. And sometimes you're getting naked in front of your realtor, in front of your loan officer, you know, showing all of the things that went wrong, and that's not easy to do. One of the things that we bring to the table is I tell my clients, you are probably not worse off than what I was when I got here. So I ended up coming in here, honestly, I had 3 houses in Florida. I lost all 3 of them. I came after a divorce, and I had no money. I had $212 in my pocket when I stepped foot in Dallas, you know, and so we know where they are. And it's not like I didn't know what I was doing when I did it. I let my credit go to 480 because I wasn't emotionally ready to tackle it. And so I understand where they have been. I understand where they're coming from. And some of them come with that kind of situation, and some of them are fine financially, but the process of leaving the island and coming here.
They're so raw.
It's the compassion, it's the empathy that we have to have, I think, that makes us the differentiating factor in one's life and how we can help impact them, so they don't see us necessarily at where we are today. It's the process of maybe how we got there. And because I share the same story in some regards to like our first home. Like when Jennifer and I bought our first home, it was a $60,000 house, and I couldn't qualify for it. I mean, we had just started this business. We had, you know, really didn't have any money or anything like that, but we knew the best thing to do was buy a home. We didn't want to rent, we wanted to buy. I had just gotten in the business. I knew that's what we had to do. So how do you do it? And so we had to do an FHA, non-occupying co-borrower, co-signer. And, you know, we went to our grandparents and said, look, we need your help. I mean, we pushed the ego aside and said, we need help. Can you help us? It was the best decision we did. I mean, they gave us.
We did not have a big wedding, and the money that they gave us, we like invested in a home. And so we just kind of went away and did a small little thing, and so it was the best decision. I'm sorry, Bob, I'm just taking over your show.
It's not my show. It's not my show today, guys. I get it.
He already knew that.
Yeah.
But it was the best decision we ever made because it got us in the game. You know, and so we have been there too, and we've also had, you know, wins and losses in business and things like that. And
you got to be willing to share that. I mean, you really do, because it's just the empathy that you have to be able to get on one person, you know, the same side, and just talk, and that transparency, that authenticity allows people then to open up and say, okay, here's what I want to do. How can you help me do that? and that's the fun part, because then it just, everything kind of comes together.
I carry a copy of my old credit report and my current credit report. So sometimes you can look at, this is where I was, this is where I am.
It can happen
If
to
I
you too,
did
right?
it,
Yes.
If I did it, you can. It's a process.
Right.
And when I got to DFW, I thought I was not going to have, after 3 foreclosures, I thought I was not going to have a house again.
Yeah.
It was insane. And when we actually bought a house in Frisco. We weren't even looking to buy. Josh and I were a year into our relationship, and I was still in REO, and I kind of saw the market doing the little shift of the boom thing, and the house is starting to be shorter on the market, and I was just driving by a neighborhood right beside Natalia's school, and I saw these duplexes, and I saw some of them that were for sale, and I was like, oh wow, this is pretty. It might not be a single family home, but it's, man, if I could just own one again. And so I called an agent that worked for me, at the DFW area from the bank. And I was like, hey, I saw this house, down on Chaucer Drive in Frisco, and I don't know, do you think? And me knowing the business, I was still very not confident about not being able to buy.
You know the business at a level that most don't, right?
Most don't.
Right.
But I didn't realize that until now.
I know. But you were still a little nervous.
I was extremely nervous.
We know that those that are trying to buy their first home or second or third home are still, they could be their 8th home.
Yes.
They still own or know this much of what you had at that time.
Yes.
Right, going through it.
And so I called him, and he said, I have a house on that street. He told me. I was like, okay, well, cool. So we went and we saw a couple, and we found that one that we liked. And I remember I held on to the column of the house, and I prayed, and I was like, Lord, if you let me have a house again, I promise I will be grateful, and I will not take it for granted this time, and so forth. And I prayed on that house, and I said, I'm never moving again. Yeah, okay.
Right.
So,
Well, you didn't take it for granted, but you did move it.
I did. Yeah, so a lot of my buyers, they come and, they're like, oh, they don't, culturally speaking, the Hispanic people, when they buy for life.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
And so they're not thinking about, oh, I'm going to get into this house in 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years from now, I'm going to upgrade, I'm going to change. That's not the mindset. And that's one of the things that we try to educate them on,
right.
Because I was there too. I was like, I am never moving again. That's not
right.
The good thing about the opportunity in the U.S. is that you're not stuck in the same house because you're never stuck in the same situation. This is the country of the opportunity, and so as you grow, your house is going to grow with you. It's going to grow with your needs. When you move mom in, or when the kids move out, whatever. Whenever your situation changes, or your job changes, or your distance or location changes, usually the house changes too.
Yes.
Well, that's a great point and a great outlook that you just said, because we're also in a completely different economy.
Yes.
Where we are, especially in North Texas, typically when they're buying that home, as it changes, they're going to be able to sell it for more money.
Right.
That's the beauty of where we are today. So it affords them the ability to get out of it,
Right.
and then either downsize, or if they have to go buy something with a mother-in-law suite or something like that, they will have equity that they can then go and trade for a bigger home.
So right now I think I'm doing 3 upgrade deals where we are. So they bought houses 2-3 years ago, and the situations have changed, and now they want something else, or they're ready for something that's a little bit more to their liking. And so we are selling the house and taking out not only what they put in, but the equity that has been built through the market, and then reinvesting on a house that's going to be a little bit more permanent and long term. So I have 3 of those going on right now from past clients that are just, hey, we're ready to go. And
I know you sit down. You do buyer consults with every single client. You want to sit down and understand the client, right?
Yes.
What do you feel like the biggest questions that buyers would have or are having that you're seeing, or biggest concerns, challenges that they're needing to overcome to be able to get in?
I think that kind of varies depending on the market that you serve.
Okay.
And I'm very aware of the specific needs of my particular market. I don't think I can speak in general.
Okay, that's fine.
But first-time buyers, particularly Hispanic first-time buyers, a lot of them think that they can't. A lot of them
So it's knowledge.
Yes, a lot of them think that they can. I've had people come in and they're like, I don't want to apply yet because I don't think I can. And they come out with a pre-approval in 2 days.
Right, exactly.
Yes, it's like, whoa. And then a lot of them is as far as the finances, the the down payment, the money, understanding what is down payment versus closing costs, how to cover all of that, what are the different choices of programs, should they use them, should they not. I believe in using them if you have the need, and then I believe that if you don't have the need, you shouldn't use them. And so I educate on that a little bit. Last night, I had a couple that's under contract on a new build, and we're coming up on closing date, and we have a majority of the money saved, but we don't have all of it, and what can we do? And so I get down and I break down mortgages with people sometimes, and I'm like, hey, I'm not just a realtor on the real estate side. I will, if they're having a hard time understanding the numbers, I will break them down in the rice and beans version.
Well, I got to believe that like our total cost analysis really works well for your clients and stuff like that, because we will show them the different options. So let's say call it option A would be if you brought your own money to the table.
Right.
Option B is with maybe, let's say, a down payment assistance or grant program that we provided, so you can see the difference in payments, out-of-pocket expense, interest rates, everything. And then you can also see, let's say, option C, which is maybe there's no down payment or assistance, but maybe it's just lender credits and things like that. So we break it down, but then it's about showing them visually what it looks like, because they can hear it and they're like, okay, I don't know if I understand it.
Right.
And so we use a system where we can obviously break it down visually so that they can compare side by side 3 to 4 options. And the big part of that for me and the team is just knowing like how long will you live in the home.
Right.
Because I know they'll say, well, this is my forever home. And so it's helping them understand, okay, is it really forever? We talking forever, or is it forever like 10, 15 years? And then showing them the difference between how much interest in mortgage insurance and everything that they pay for that period of time over each one of those loans, and compare it and say which one actually pays in less.
It works really well when you're comparing FHA and conventional options, and some people are like, well, I've heard, conventional is better, or I've heard this, or I've heard that.
A lot of times they think that FHA is better, right? They hear that, but when you really put it down and you show them,
how many years you're going to live in that house.
Conventional ends up being a better deal.
If you're going to be there 30 years, for sure. If you're going to be here, and you have limited funds to come in, then maybe FHA is better. Or sometimes you don't have the choice. Sometimes the credit score is what it is.
And you can't do
conventional. So it's doing that, but I do believe that people for the last few years, they always say in real estate you have to list to last. And they concentrate very much on the listing side of things, and listing agents have been very blessed the last few years with putting properties on the market, and they're flying off.
You're getting 30, 40 offers at one time.
And that's been great. And then I've been in the digs, grinding with the buyers, putting in 10, 12 offers before we can get a house, spending until 8 o'clock at night showing, or maybe 9 o'clock during the summer, and just trying my hardest to get people to buy homes. So I've been on the harder side of things, and I'm very excited for 2019 because my time is here.
Right.
I have the buyers. I have all the buyers. And so I think that it's also a great time for the buyers, because now we're finally getting to that point where negotiation is actually a word again. Where if you do have, if you do need seller assistance or closing costs, the market conditions are coming to the point that they may not need to do a program in order to buy. We might be able to make that up in some other way.
We're seeing contracts come in with just what you're saying. Now, sellers are agreeing at a higher percentage to pay title. We're starting to see like contributions coming in. Maybe not big contributions yet, but some contributions coming in the contracts where sellers are willing to pay for $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is of a buyer's closing cost. I mean,
and
so
to
your point, it's changing.
It's changing, and so the market conditions for my market are improving. So that number one question that people come in and ask,
knowledge, right?
They're like, knowledge, I don't think I can, and then I don't have all the money. Or it's going to take forever to save all that money.
Sure.
And so yes, I mean, in the last few years, you kind of needed to have your own money and then some in order to buy. And now that, you know, we've peaked as far as pricing and we're starting to see that negotiation again, more people that couldn't buy before are going to be able to buy now.
Good.
And so we're very excited to enter 2019 with that outlook. And
I love buyers,
hope.
by the way.
and bringing hope, you know, bringing more hope to people who think that they can't, you know, or they come with the chip that it's difficult or that it's hard. It doesn't have to be if you prepare yourself properly. You know, it's a step by step.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, and I love the fact, I mean, and I'm okay with that being the number one thing, like they don't know, because it fits well within what we all do every day, which is commit to education.
Yes.
Right? Because that's where we all stand out, is just our willingness to give of the knowledge, the experiences, the processes that we've gone through over our period of time in this industry.
Right.
Just give it all away.
Yes.
And that's fun, because if people really engage and really want to know, it's all out there.
It is.
Right? And I would encourage you to go to something local, somebody local like Naddia or Jen and I, because you know, we understand the local market, which is different. The local market is different than what you see out there on, you know, CNBC or you know, CNN, I mean the national news, because they're looking at the global landscape, and it's not really what's going on here in Texas. They don't understand, or DFW, they don't understand the programs that are available and how we're helping people get in with little to no money out of pocket. They don't understand all that stuff. I
had one, you know, I've had people come in and buy in the same neighborhood, and I've had somebody come in with $13,000, and I've had somebody come in with $3,000. The same exact house. It just depends on their exact situation, what they want to do. What they want to do. I tell my clients, I'm never going to tell you what to do. If you're looking for somebody to tell you, make this offer, this is the price, this is what we got to do, I'm not going to be a realtor for you. And I accept that I'm not the realtor for everybody.
What's driving you to continue doing what you're doing?
Oh boy.
That's a good question, Bob.
You know, I asked somebody that the other day. I asked somebody that's been in the mortgage business and doing, you know, and he's made his money, and you know, he just keeps going, and he's older now, and I'm like, why do you keep going? You know, like, I mean, is there an end game to this? I do what I do. It's my calling. I can't help it. I can't help it. It's just the knowledge of what I have, and knowing that somebody comes in and they think that they are in a bad place, and you can show them that they are in a better place than they think that they are.
There's no end game.
There is no end game.
Unless you put it on a number.
Yes.
There is no end game. So if you're really doing it, what's driving you to continue is impact and education and serving, then you'll never stop.
Well, I mean,
which is what this is what we do. That's why we have, what drives us is all around education and impacting people's lives and serving. So all that has no number tied to it, which means
ask me how much
we'll
volume I did last year. How much volume did I do? I have
no idea. Doesn't matter.
I have no clue. I have no idea what I did in volume. I know we helped 65 families. I don't know my volume. I have no clue.
And you could probably just right now write them all out.
I was actually going through them last night. So
that's one thing you say that you know, a lot of people don't keep up with their past clients, but that is one thing you said you really excel at.
That was before your 8 p.m. meeting, right?
My 8 p.m. meeting, yes, where I was going through numbers. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I can't think. But yeah, I mean, we try to, you know, do videos like Bob does of, hey, you know, your homestead's coming up. I just sent you the email, I just sent you the link with the instructions, please make sure you do this and that. We try to communicate what's going on in the market. You know, we'll keep up with them again in April when proposed property values come, you know, and we'll keep that going. And we also celebrate referrals. You know, we have a great referral program with our past clients because they refer to us anyway, you know, but it's nice, you know, to be appreciated. And so we throw parties, and I mean, that's nothing new in real estate, but we try to really make it consistent, special.
And that's the key.
Yes, consistent, special, and just more trying to introduce them to each other and to grow their networks and to grow the family. So we do keep that up. We have a phenomenal CRM system, a system where we keep up with people. And so that, I have to tell you, 2018 was my most exhausting year that I have ever had. Not everything's great. You know, you see me, okay, you know, top producer, and we're closing, and you see all the pictures, but not everything looks great.
Easy. It looks great on Facebook.
It's so not. We had our best year last year, and I'm very proud of that, because we did it in the year where I had to absolutely re-break down everything. We saw where we were excelling, but we were also looking where we were losing.
Yeah.
And if you want to grow, you need to hit reality sometimes in the face. And you need to really look at, oh yeah, there's Naddia. Oh, she's doing amazing. Well, if I stay with Naddia's doing amazing, then, you know, I'm never going to improve. And what I look at is, what deals didn't we do? What families couldn't we help? What families didn't we bring the options to? Where did we not keep up? Where did we not follow up? Where did we lose somebody that could have bought and they went and rented again because we didn't necessarily do 100% of what we needed to do?
So I say the same. I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yes.
And so the winning part is all the people that we helped, which is, it is great, right? But the leakage, the loss, is what I hate the most, but it's also the biggest way to learn. To help impact more people, to win more, right?
So last year we did that. We broke down our systems, and we said these are the areas that Naddia needs help with. These are the areas that that we need to improve upon. And in the middle of the whirlwind of, I revamped absolutely our systems, our staff. We went through 2 staffing changes last year. So, you know, financially, economically, and when you're training people, that drains you. And I am one person, and then I have 65 clients that I'm helping at the same time, and bringing in gaps of finances, mortgages, builders, and it was a lot. And I ended the year pretty much exhausted, but we closed so many gaps. We heard the feedback of what we were getting, and we took that to heart, and we improved it. Because I don't like getting negative feedback. But you know what? I'm not perfect, and it's okay.
And you know what? I love that you got the feedback, because the silence is deadly.
Right.
It doesn't work if people don't tell you what you need to do to improve. How would you know?
3 things have to happen to that. 1, you have to have clients that are willing to talk to share with you. 2, you have to be, as that leader, willing to accept that. And then 3, you got to be willing to execute on the changes.
Yes. I mean, so a lot of the feedback that we got was, you know, we started changing systems, and we started calling people back that we hadn't touched base with, you know, for some time, and they're like, oh, well, I already bought, or you know, I called you once and you didn't get back to me, or you know, so we started looking at these gaps, or, you know, hey, I came to your orientation, or I sat with this lender, and this is the option that you gave me, but somebody else gave me another option that worked better for me. And so we analyze all of those things, because we can't do 100% of every deal. And I tell my clients, this is a 2-way street. You choose me, I choose you, and I'm going to try to bring everything that I can to the table, but I don't know everything. That's why I have to rely also on, you know, people like Bob that know what's going on in the mortgage industry to bring me up to date, you know, other builders, lenders, you know, to kind of keep me afloat as to what's going on. And that's why partnerships are really important.
Absolutely.
And they, you know, they make you or break you. And so we heard a lot of that, and we put the systems into place in order to improve them. We're still not perfect. We're changing every day. We're adapting.
You also added a big member of the team to the team.
Finally.
Finally. Josh, right?
Josh. So we've been putting off bringing Josh on full time for about 2 years. He's been licensed 3 years.
Right.
And we've been putting that off for a very, very, very long time. And he's always helped me open doors and show. But 2019, he is finally full time with me. He is now my operations manager.
Okay.
So
imagine that.
Yes. So he's my problem solver. That is what that man is to me. I mean, he just takes all the details of my big ideas and makes sure that everything is running, and he can oversee, you know, pipeline of where everything needs to be and make sure that it gets executed. And he's amazing at putting systems into place because he's an engineer.
Yep.
Right.
And so
It's the perfect fit.
Yes, and so we're very happy that he's finally made the transition. That I have accepted that is a huge step for us as a couple and as a family, because that always comes with being, with someone 24/7.
That's right.
The great thing is that I absolutely enjoy being with him 24/7.
Yeah. Which is key.
Yes, and he knows me, and he takes me very well, and he knows when I get.
And you know what? Right, he knows you. That's the thing.
I'm still trying to teach that after 22
I don't know
years.
about that.
And she knows.
Not everybody can work with their spouse.
No, they cannot.
They're not meant to work with their spouse.
Yes.
But I do believe when it does work, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
I think with Bob and I, obviously you can't ask me one thing about mortgages because I can't tell you one thing about a loan. We definitely stay in our lane, but there's so much trust there.
Yes.
Which I feel like maybe initially starting out 22 years ago when we were in our 20s working together, that wasn't necessarily there in business.
Yes.
Like I could, would jump to conclusions or why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? Now I know if it wasn't done, there was a reason, or maybe he did do it.
Right.
So I think that right there was a huge piece for us, is just the
Which
trust.
I always did do it. It's
And
just,
It allows me, so it just allows me the time to say, okay, I can sit down more one-on-one with people.
Yeah.
Because
It
now somebody
gives you more
else,
of your time back,
yes,
so you can be intentional with your
I
client.
can be intentional. So, a lot of this, a lot of this comes from knowing the client, and being successful at scheduling them in. And so when you do have a good volume of clients, it's very difficult to see 100% everyone, especially if you're running the office and you're running the staff and you're running your accounting and you're running your marketing, and then
You're running a business.
You're running a whole business.
Right.
People think that, I'm going to get a real estate license, I'm going to show houses and make money. It's so not that.
Looks good on Facebook.
That's the easy part.
Right.
That's the easy part.
I
Showing
say
the
the
houses and
same
writing
thing
a
about that
contract.
company that just says push a button, get a mortgage.
Yes.
Yeah, it ain't that easy,
It's
guys.
not. No, that's the easy part. The hard part is really making sure that you have a process in place so that when they are buying a home, things go smooth. I'm very proud to say, I've been at JPAR 5 years now. As an agent, I have not lost one deal. As far as anything that has gone under contract, past inspections, and the people are willing and wanting to buy a home unless they had, unless they decided not to buy because inspections didn't come through or anything like that. I have not lost one deal. My lenders have never lost one mortgage. We know how to make it happen. So this whole the deal fell through, the house didn't close, that's never happened to me. I've been, very blessed and knock on wood, and not that it ever won't, but if there's a solution, we are going to find it.
And I think that's so valuable because, when you control the client and you refer them to great resources that can get the job done. Whether that's your lender or whether that's inspection or what have you, that they're going to do their job. And I think so much of that comes from, hearing people, their deal fell through, is that they don't have valuable resources and they don't treat their team like a team.
Right.
Because if they did, those things wouldn't happen.
Yes. And that's why I'll with Josh managing the office side of things, I can actually put myself more available into those kinds of resources, and that's where the people need me. They need me with them. They need me counseling them. They need me resolving problems, with a transaction. That's where I need to be. And so I need somebody else paying the bills, and I need somebody else pushing the button.
We talk about that even within in our team, in our business. it's the same thing. The highest and best use of my time is in certain areas.
Yes.
It's not in all the areas.
Yes.
Right? Because we can't be everything to everybody. So you have to then surround yourself, Josh, with people that have a deeper understanding and can go deep in that role than what you can, so that it allows you to get out of it. And then where you're going to be is so intentional, and that client's like, wow, thank you so much for being there for that.
And Josh is our latest addition, but I've had Daphne with me since April, Man, it took me like a year to get that woman
I
to
know
work
you
for
said
me.
you worked on her for
Oh
a
my
long
gosh!
time.
So Daphne's, she's awesome. She's a people person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's a helper. She's a nurturer.
And
She's everybody's mom.
And you know that from if you have a 5-minute conversation with her, you already know that.
And so she
draws you in.
She coordinates, a lot of our transactional stuff. She does a lot of the follow-up and, making sure that people are heading in the right direction. And you have to surround yourself with people that have certain skills that you don't. And Daphne has a way of talking to people in such a raw way that they understand. Sometimes, you kind of have to be told to do something or to, hey, kind of light a fire to get you moving. And Daphne has a way of doing that.
It's her delivery.
It's her delivery. She's amazing at that. And so I'm very excited that, she's with us. The Hispanic and Puerto Rican community know her very well, not just in Puerto Ricans. I mean, I think most of her friends are Dominican and Mexican. And so she, she's amazing, as a coordinator, as part of the team. She does a lot of the marketing things because that's what she likes to do. She has I think it's, hey, that phone, I put it on Do Not Disturb.
Oh. They have to hit the red button.
The red button.
Don't they know that you're live?
Yes,
I mean,
they
are they not watching
right
you?
now. My phone's going off. Yes. And so, to bring her on and have somebody that is organically, she goes to every quinceañera that you could possibly imagine, and she keeps us more in contact with, with the public. So, and it's been great. Another addition is my mom.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
I retired my mom. I moved her to Texas, and so now she's
then
working
now you go back to work.
Now she's working harder than she's ever worked.
Yes, and she's enjoying it. And
Yes,
she's so good
I can
at
imagine.
it. She's so good at it. So she's my public relations person.
Yes.
As far as calling people back when
And she kind of looks like your sister, which she was in here the other day, and you were
Yes.
like, "This is
Right,
I
exactly.
really did." You
Like,
saw me. I
what?
kind of went, "Wow."
Mom,
Yes.
sister, what is
my
this?
mom
She
looks
is
great.
gorgeous.
I know she's a beautiful person.
Yeah.
And she loves people, and I just retired her from being a teacher, for I don't know 30-something years.
Is she wondering why she didn't join you sooner?
I'm in real estate because of my mom. Mm-hmm. So my grandpa was a realtor in New York.
Oh my gosh.
And I have an aunt in New York that is a broker.
Okay.
And so I guess we kind of carry that vein is what we would call it. But when we moved to the States, my mom would, we really didn't have any family, so we would have to entertain ourselves. And part of our entertainment on Sunday afternoons after going to church and getting some lunch was to go look at model homes. So I knew how to read a floor plan by the time I was 12. I can walk into a room and size it.
So it's in your blood.
Yes, and so she was, we were always, every time we moved, we bought and sold, and the new house, and the new house, and the new house, which poor Josh, now like every other week, I'm like, I want a new house.
Right, exactly. Or I want a rehab, I want a new house.
Yes.
Or a new kitchen.
Or a new kitchen, hey. And so she always had a love of real estate in her, and so she brought that to me. And I guess the wonderful thing that you can see if you ever sit through one of my orientations, there's 3 factors into that. And it's I have the experience in the industry. I bring the experience and the knowledge, okay? I bring the delivery of my mom. My mom's a teacher. And so I know how to break things down, and I know how to teach it in a way people can understand. That comes from my mother. And my dad's a pastor. So my dad's a pastor, he's a chaplain, and I grew up with the counseling and the compassion and all of that. So in me, there is my mom and my dad, and then the experience of 15 years of real estate and mortgages, and then we sit down and it's like, oh, I just don't have this one factor. I have all 3. And that is something that I didn't know I had. When I entered real estate here, I thought I was going to be working with investors.
Right, yeah, because of REO.
I thought I was going to be working with investors and doing rentals and probably doing property management, and I had no clue what I had, what I brought to the table, and what I could do. And every single time I am more and more surprised. Every time that we resolve a problem, every time that we find something new and we find an alternative for somebody to something we didn't know that could be possible, and we made it possible. And when I go back into those 3 pillars, is the compassion and the counseling, and it is one part, the knowledge is another one, and then the delivery of being able to communicate the knowledge with compassion to the client.
So you have that.
Yes.
Now where do you go from here?
Let's
talk.
Are we gonna make the announcement? So last year was my last year as an individual, as an individual agent. I've been an individual for 5 years, and I am a control freak. Don't get me wrong. Accepting the fact that I needed to bring on Josh, and that I needed to bring on Daphne, and that I needed, a mom person to kind of be able to do that. It was exhausting for me, but we are finally ready to launch as team. Okay. And so, that's where we go. So now we want to expand our model. We do a lot of Hispanic community because it's been me. It's a lot of the community that comes from Puerto Rico. Sure. We want to expand that model that is successful through our partnerships, through our staffing, and bring that available to other agents that focus on the Mexican community and the Venezuelan community and the Colombian community and the Brazilian community, because these are all Latin communities, and we understand what they need and how they need it, and we've perfected it. It's taken me 5 years, but the people that choose to go through the process and are a good fit and they're coachable, they make it. And so we want to go ahead and expand that and bring that model to other agents, and we are going to be going team this year, which
Congratulations.
is totally scary.
Right. Outside of the comfort zone.
Outside of the comfort zone. But again, you have to, I never do anything unless I'm ready to do it.
Yeah.
That's
and
one
the time
thing.
is right.
That's one thing. We talked about it, last year, going team, and we tried a few things that didn't work, and we tried other ones that did, and we finally have the model, the procedures,
you have the model
that we want to do, and the people in place. Yes, because your team is only as good as the support that you bring them.
That's right.
So that's going to be the value, like when you talk to people, because there's agents out here that watch these jam sessions, and they may be looking to join a team. Right. So the big reason they would want to do that would be what?
So, oh baby, I haven't even talked to JP about this yet, Bob. You're like confessing me.
This is what these jam sessions are about.
Oh my goodness, I am on confession mode. You're like, Oh boy. The reason I haven't built a team yet is because I don't necessarily believe that the traditional team structure would work for me. And so I've never done anything traditionally, and I always do things backwards. And so what I feel would be a good fit as far as team for our team, taking the JPAR model a bit further, right? So JP & Associates is a company that agents come in and they pay a minimal cost per transaction, and because there's so many of us, at a low cost, we can achieve a lot of systems, a lot of things, and it's kind of bringing that a little bit further, because at JPAR we do get a lot of systems, technology, mentorship, and a lot of support. So it's a great place to be. Where I see some agents struggling is agents that have a lot of potential, and they do have a pretty big book of business, but they can't keep up with it because they lack the human resource of things. So I've created a model for producing agents. It's not agents that are coming trying to give me your leads or give me your business and just let me run with it. Because with that, it comes a lot of micromanagement, because they're my leads, they're my clients, and I want to make sure you're serving them my way. I think that there is room in the market for a team model where there are producing agents that can keep their identity, but need the back office support of a transaction coordinator, of a bilingual ISA that's making their follow-up phone calls, of a operations manager that's overlooking their pipeline or their production and making sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
Love it.
And so what we want to do is create a team where, you know, there's a minimal split because we're not providing them leads, they're bringing their own book of business, but we are holding down the fort so that the business that they're breaking in is not lost due to lack of follow-up, due to lack of systems, due to lack of that.
And I love it because, I mean, we do meet, talk with, and work with a lot of agents from all over, right? And what we see is exactly what you're saying. They may have 50 people, clients that they have that they could work with.
Yes.
But the reality is only, let's say, 4 are ready to go right now.
Right now.
Right? And so what happens to the other 46?
Right.
And that's where the leakage is, which is the greatest loss in a business.
Right.
The opportunity is in those 46.
Right.
So how do you, and that's the value, so you're going to help them manage the 46 so that you decrease their leakage so they go from 4 to 10.
Yes.
Which is putting more impact and more revenue and more clients served in their pockets.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the client is happier and service better.
Sure.
And so, you know, bringing in, you know, people, especially, you know, we're still targeting the Hispanic community. We are comprar casa, you know, and bringing in a fully trained bilingual staff that can fill in the gaps for those agents is, you know, basically I'm creating the model of what I wish somebody would have given me.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, sometimes I say, well, man, if I wouldn't have had to, you know, I could be doing so much more. I could be serving so many more people if I didn't have to do this and this and this and this and this. It's a lot. People don't understand that real estate is not just opening a door when they actually get a license and come in. And if they're any good, they're going to have, especially in Hispanic market, they're going to have a pretty big, you know, pipeline. The problem is keeping up with it. The problem is not letting it through. I've sat down with agents, even from JPAR, they're like, how do you keep it consistent? I'm like, well, what are you doing to follow up? What's your CRM? And they're like, I don't have one.
Right.
Or I don't have the time to sit down and call people back once a week or once a month. And, you know, and so you do call them back, you know, a month later and they already bought a house. And so we want to try to close that gap because that's what I wish I would have had. I mean, if somebody came in and said, hey, minimal split here, but you've got all of this.
Right.
I mean, to this
You would've
day,
jumped
if somebody
in,
else pulls it, you can call me. I might join your team.
Well, speaking of that, because there are people that are going to be wanting to get in touch with you.
Yes.
Okay, whether they're out there looking to buy a home, sell a home, or if they're
Join
an
a team.
agent that wants to join a team.
Right.
How do they get a hold of you? So give everybody your digits.
Oh boy. So Facebook is monitored a lot.
Okay.
So Messenger.
Well,
you
you
can
got to
always
get.
do
How
that.
do they get to you on Facebook?
So I am. I mean, they're watching, aren't they? I'm not
Well,
tagged on this.
okay,
You
well,
can
that's true.
tag.
Yeah, you can communicate on Facebook.
You can
That's a good
communicate on
point.
Facebook because those messages actually don't get lost. I put that into place as well.
Yes. With
To
your
make
mom, I know.
yes, to make sure that everything gets answered. But you can always text message me is the best way of getting hold of me. Because I may or may not answer the phone depending on who I'm with at the moment. So my number is 214-223-0035.
We'll make sure that's in the text.
And so that's my number.
Well, you know what? I look forward to seeing what you do
Yeah.
this year.
It's gonna be awesome.
Because I think that you're a phenomenal person inside and out.
Thank you.
And
So are you guys.
so we feel so grateful to have crossed paths with you
Yes.
for lots of reasons.
Right.
And so I know what you did last year a little bit, and I cannot wait to see all of
The
this
growth
put in
of
place.
everything.
Yes.
And how many people that you're able to help, not just buyers, but other agents.
Yes.
And see how many people you empower.
Right.
So-
So, you know, that's a very scary cross for me. I don't think that, you know, I don't want to be this team leader that's the boss of telling people what to do. I think that keeping your identity as an agent, when you're an agent, that's really important.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a boss and a leader.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so, you know, we just want to provide, you know, a little bit more of a support, you know, a support model so that people can go and we can grow with them and, you know, teach them a thing or two. I mean, I have a real estate library in my head. Sometimes I come in and I'm like, you know, I get a problem and I sleep on it and then I'm dreaming about it literally, and the next day I know the answer how to resolve it. And so it's not always easy. It's a lot of, you know, people skills and management or team leader for me is probably the scariest thing that I could step into.
You're going to be great at it.
But we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. And it's about having the right people in place with, similar mindset of what they're trying to achieve. So.
Absolutely.
Well, we look forward to seeing the growth. We look forward to being part of the growth and supporting you and your team and everything that you guys have going on. I mean, it's just, it feels right. I know it's right with what you're doing and how you're serving people. I know it's going to be a successful venture for you.
We've been blessed. God sometimes pushes us in directions that we don't necessarily think we're going to go.
Oh, absolutely.
But things fall into place, and you just can't deny what's happening. So we're excited to have you guys. For all my Latin clients out there, Bob has Spanish-speaking staff.
Yes.
So
not Bob so much, but
Espanol, sí. But I have a whole team back there can obviously serve in Spanish, Puerto Rican. I mean, it's all out there,
Portuguese,
right? Portuguese,
also.
yeah. So guys, I really appreciate you hanging in there and listening to this. I mean, it was great because I think I maybe said like 10 words.
Yeah, it's the Naddia show. We knew it was going to be the Naddia takeover.
This is the Naddia and Jennifer show.
Girl
this
power.
Time.
Yeah, that's right.
Is. Well, I mean, it's great. I got to interject and ask a couple of questions, but this is your show. This is all about. I mean, I know everybody really knows you on your camera, but there's a lot of other cameras in here that maybe they don't know you or haven't come across you before, and I want them to get to know you. That's what this is about, is getting them to know you. And so maybe one day, whether it's tomorrow or 6 months or 6 years down the road, this thing has life. That's what the great thing about videos on social media. Somebody's going to come to me and say, hey, thanks so much for introducing me to Naddia. She changed my life. And if that's an agent, if it's a buyer, then this makes it successful. This is what this event's for. So thank you.
Amen.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day, and more importantly, make somebody else's day even better.
Yes.
Take care.
And go to Puerto Rico.
Go to Puerto Rico.
Yes. All right.